Today we're talking about 7 steps to inspire creative writing. I'm the writer, director, producer, and maybe a couple other hats.
I'm Rachel Keaton, and I played Claire Collins.
I'm Corey Messer, and I produced and was the DP on 7 Steps.
Well, I mean, I'm a huge fan of just dark comedy in general. Like, Coen Brothers are massive influence to me. And Corey and I had kind of talked about, like, after our first film, The Chair, which was just kind of more pure comedy, we knew we wanted to do something a little different, staying within the comedy realm, but, like, maybe do something a little dark. He's a big horror fan. I like more suspense thriller stuff, but we wanted to try to see if we could merge those two worlds. And so we knew we wanted to have a little something of a bit of a twist at the end, but also like have it be kind of like an interesting character development and a journey for her as kind of becoming the writer over time. And also showing that, like, even though it's like funny hijinksy situations, this is a person in someone's house, and that's kind of creepy behavior, right? So we wanted to like stick the landing with that in the end, like to show like she may be unhinged a bit. You know, this is not normal, right?
Yeah, I mean, from a shooting standpoint, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you'll notice a lot of Marshall's takes, like we've kind of isolated him a lot. So we kind of made him feel alone in a lot of situations, which opened him up to be a little more vulnerable, where we could kind of like break his character down, and eventually Claire's kind of like wearing on him a bit, whether he knows it subconsciously or not. And then, yeah, I mean, we just pulled inspiration from a lot of our favorite films. We're big Coen Brother fans. So obviously you see the thumbnail for the film, it's actually that Barton Fink shot with John Turturro, and he's like leaning back in his chair, he's thinking. You've got it framed up with this patterned carpet. So we really just pulled inspiration from that kind of thing.
I kind of approach it all kind of like it's, this character might be thrown into a situation that's comedic or kind of, funny to the outside eye, but you have to approach each scene like it's life or death. So even though Claire is in situations that might seem humorous to somebody, she takes it like super seriously. And so it kind of, obviously I had to prepare myself for a lot more emotionally on the day that we shot the ending. I still approached it with like the same level of like, I didn't really think about it as a comedy or, like thriller, horror, or whatever. I just saw it as like, this character is trying their hardest and doesn't see the humor in it, is just kind of approaching it, the same amount of effort any person would be, or someone maybe who's unhinged like her would. So yeah, that was, I mean, definitely on the day that we shot that was approaching it emotionally in a different way, but I kind of like to approach it the same direction.
Now we finally made like we're third film in as far as editing goes, and all three of them kind of are bookended, and I love that structure. Like so, like. And then that was also another element of like we wanted to really capture the zeitgeist of the moment, and I just thought, what more appropriate than a YouTube show that's have like very much so like hip hop vibes, but it's like it's about literature, right? Yeah, it's just like how like because all these cultures are merging, and it creates like super interesting. What's funny is I came up with that. And then this year, we finished the film in like February. A couple months ago, I found PBS has a It's Lit show now. Like, so I wasn't off the mark. You know what I mean? So and it's a real show now. But in terms of structure, I really like the idea of like kind of leading you into that. And also it was a way for the character to be led into like, seeing Marshall, seeing him talk about his process, and then with her simultaneously reading this article, said, well, he doesn't really seem to have any structure. Maybe I can help him, find a better way to write this next novel. Because I think as a fan, she just really wanted the thing, and I think that's another piece of it too. It's like George R.R. Martin is a great example of, I think fan fiction now trumps what, anything you'll ever write, like, because it's just been so long that, like, our imaginations have run wild and filled in the blanks. And so, like, I don't know if he can win at this point, So that was kind of, another element. And this show kind of represents that. And then the main last sticking point to it to me is, like, we idolize people, but, like, we're super quick to move on. And I thought that would be a really cool way to show, like, one day we're, like, hyped about Marshall. Next day we're like, oh, that guy died. But by the way, Claire Collins, right? Like, so that was another way to just show how, like, society's, like, real quick to, like, hoist you up. But then as soon as your 15 minutes is over, it's like, we're moving on to the next thing,
So, like I said, I kind of approached it the same way. That was about 10 times more intense, just because I know you have to get in the mindset of that character and in the mindset of you've just seen not only a person die or dying, you've seen one of your heroes that's dying. And so that was kind of an intense day. I kind of, when they were setting up, like, kind of the shots and everything, like the logistics of it, I kind of had to, like, separate myself from everybody and just kind of, like, get in the mindset. I was, like, listening to the music that was kind of sad, just to kind of stay in that kind of mindset. Because another thing is, I knew we were gonna only be able to do, like, very few takes for that, just because it was messy and we were shooting at their place. So that was another thing. We couldn't, like, do something super crazy and messy because you're on a small budget, So that was something, like, I was like, I know I have to, like, nail this in, like, 1 to 2, maybe 3 shots. So I kind of had to stay in it. Really intense. And I actually had Matt at one point, especially when I'm, like, holding the camera, or it looks like I'm holding the camera, off screen, I had him kind of stand in place just so I could just physically just see that and just, like, the terror of it. Yeah, really intense. And afterwards I needed, like, hours to unwind because it's just a lot. It takes a lot of you, breath wise, everything, just, like, physically a lot.
Yeah. I can certainly feel just how heavy it was too. Like, they had to hug it out at the
Yeah,
end.
it was it was an emotional moment.
It was really emotional. And
it was powerful.
The rest of the shooting was not like that, which was just kind of funny. It really is. It reflects what the experience was. It was just so intense. And that wasn't the last day, was it? We had another day after that, right?
We did. That was the top of day 2. So in terms of coordinating it, we had 2 main days where we had full on crew, and then we had the It's Lit stuff we shot separately, like, a couple weeks before, so that was technically our day 1. And then we had Corey and I had like a half day to shoot the theater stuff with Rachel, kind of her in the head moment. So we knew, like, it was a bit much for day 1, like, and it was like, again, it's a heavy moment. So we were like, top of day 2 though, because it's such an important shot, and it's like I want to make sure we get it and we get it correctly. So we knew that was going to be the most time-consuming shot, period. And we knew the level of coverage we wanted to make sure we got in the bathroom. So yeah, we stuck that at the top of day 2, and then we made sure Rachel, like, was good for a while. We filmed with Matt. We got him cleaned up and filmed with Matt afterwards.
Thank you for that.
So yeah, it was a heavy moment for sure, and it was probably one of the more difficult scenes that we've coordinated.
Very challenging.
Yeah.
The straw itself in particular, and thank God for our makeup artist who just crushed it.
Right. We kept trying to come up with different ways of making that look real, and we knew, like, we have to have a makeup artist for this. So we found Rafif, and yeah, again, she was incredible. I mean, not only did she just add value across the board, because on the first one we didn't have hair and makeup. That wasn't the thing on our first one.
That was us.
We did some very light touch-up stuff, like, and then we had to do, like, a bloody nose, and even that was, like, it took us
a while.
Took us a minute to figure it out. So with this is a whole scene of gore, straw to the head thing. So came up with some cool stuff, and actually our AD, when we were having some trouble making the straw look like it actually stuck, we we cut up a metal straw into pieces. So we had like a short piece. And our AD kind of came up with this idea. What was it?
Is this like the
Milk duds?
Milk
duds?
duds. Well, like we formed a mouth guard of milk duds and stuck that thing in there and then kind of froze it so it would set up.
Yeah.
And so he kind of wore it like a mouthpiece so he can kind of hold it in place. Yeah. And then Rafif did the rest with the blood and making the blood kind of. Oh
man, the blood.
The splatter onto Rachel's face was why. That was one of the gnarlier moments. And there was chunks of banana in there for it to kind of replicate some matter coming out. Yeah.
And that really, actually got in my eye.
And in your eye, and you were a champ for like staying in character doing that.
And that was that was one of those things where it's like, we got that shot and we're like, we don't want to make you do that again.
Yeah. That was like we did that twice, right?
Yeah, I think we did it twice and we're like, we gotta get it. Like, so like we had someone flicking it. we had a coordinator like, make sure you get it because we you know what I mean? I don't want to keep doing this. Yeah. We were even concerned about Matt's jeans because it's like, hey, we don't have, like we bought him a shirt and we're like, yeah, you got to bring your own pants.
Yeah.
He ended up getting all of his pants. We thought we ruined it, and then we were able to wash it out. But it was like one of those things. So intense scene. If to be honest, as unfortunate of a time it is, like I think it's more kind of like really lit a fire under our asses, like like
for sure.
And Corey and I both are like we have jobs that like typically he would be traveling with his job, so obviously that's kind of 86 for now, and same with me, like we have we put on a lot of events and things like that, and so we're all doing virtual event-based stuff now, so like we're both like have time to like really focus on it and come together, and we recently shot 2 films in less than a week. Like we went from doing a film once a year to like doing 2 more projects because there's some film contest stuff coming up that we want to be a part of. We've pitched some stuff to like the Film Fund for some grants. Like it's funny, like it took the first 2 ideas came out so slow, and then right now like I'm literally juggling like 5 different ideas in my head right now. So. And then the big thing that like Corey and I want to tackle next, it's a little gem. At the end of 7 Steps, there's the commercial that we revisit from the credits. And the credit sequence has a commercial from Seymour Furniture. It's also it's actually a reference to our first film, The Chair, where Thomas Seymour is mentioned. Of Seymour Furniture, and obviously it's about a chair, so like there's a whole furniture connection. I have a feature idea for this furniture store owner who's kind of, and it's like a Southern noir crime film with a little bit of dark humor. And the other thing I really noticed about this time, it's like Hollywood's kind of at a standstill, right? Like if you want to get a big production off the ground, like it's so difficult, and it's a huge budget line item, right? To have the COVID testing to be able to keep that up. Whereas like, we can go get tests and operate in a small crew and in a circle, and like we're hanging out a lot and we know where we've been and everything, and like we've got a guy we're bringing in today where like we literally made him send his like send over the results and then you can come over, right? Because he just got back from Chicago, right? So, like, to be honest with you, like, at the end of all this, like, I think people who can like work as scrappy as we're used to working, and small-minded with as far as budget and footprint, I think are gonna like hopefully rise to the top. So hopefully all this work we're putting in will pay off. And I think now is the time, if any, to be as creative as possible, and especially if you have the time. I know some people are like still essential workers and things like that, but if you have the time, like double down. That's my whole thing.
Yeah.